Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. They're a team I haven't talked about in a long time, and it feels while a lot of teams in the offseason kind of stayed the same. Like Milwaukee brought back their guys. Phoenix did trade for Bradley Beal. The Lakers got better. But there's not a lot of teams that really, I would say, drastically improved their roster. I would say the Boston Celtics, to some extent, got worse instead of better. I know that's going to be a controversial take, but it's just the idea, they lost Marcus Smart. They lost Grant Williams in free agency. Yes, they did bring in Kristaps Porzingis, but the thing is, they're a team that is now relying on guys that are, pretty much get injured a lot to keep this team afloat in Kristaps Porzingis and even Malcolm Brogdon. They're two guys that tend to get injured a lot. So, Boston, while they did get Kristaps Porzingis, I'm just he's still got to come out and play 65 games for you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really sure how to feel about that, but I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks, man, because they're a team that I think, unlike a lot of other teams in the league, made some significant improvements to their roster this offseason. They drafted Derek Lively, which was a position of need, I might add. They really needed center help, and they got it this offseason. I think they traded for Richaun Holmes out of Sacramento, who's actually a very capable center. A guy that I think, if I'm correct, he can actually, I don't know if he can step out and shoot the three or not. I haven't really looked into that. I know in 2K he can, but all right, Richaun. I'm not even sure. I'm kind of curious. What does Richaun Holmes shoot from three? So Richaun Holmes is, he shoots. Actually, he shot 62% from three last year. Okay, never mind. Not even one attempt per game. Okay, so he doesn't really take threes. I thought he did. But still 62% on less than 1 3 a game. At least he makes them. But he only played 42 games last year. He started for one of them. The year before that, his career in Sacramento, he's been a good center. He doesn't average a lot of blocks. He averages about 1 block a game, but he averages in his better years in Sacramento, he's averaging about 8 or 7 rebounds a game on, I don't know, let's say 11 points per game. Let's take an average. And he's a very efficient shooter. He also shoots about 80% from the free throw line, which is very good. So, Richaun Holmes was a good pickup. They brought back Kyrie Irving, which was obvious. They get another year out of Jaden Hardy. They have JaVale McGee, who's a vet on their team, who really isn't going to play, but he's a solid player. He's a solid third string center if they need it. They brought back Dwight Powell. They signed Grant Williams. They signed Seth Curry, which was a huge signing because they needed 3-point shooting. This is a team that is, I think, going to make some noise in the West. They signed Derek Jones Jr. today to a deal. Olivier, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but Olivier Maxine Prosper, if I said that correctly, is a solid player. He out of Clemson. He's a guy that I think is going to be a good defender. He's 6'8", 230, which is a nice build. I'm very curious to see how his production goes, but they still have Josh Green, who's very good. They have Maxi Kleber still. This is a team that it's they've at least made an effort to put something around Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, whereas for a long time it felt like they weren't. You know what I'm saying? They had Luka Doncic for a while, and it seemed like the West was getting better and Dallas was getting worse. They were not doing anything to really try and shore up their issues. They needed a center, they needed to improve on defense, they needed 3-point shooting, and in some instances, they addressed a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? They addressed the defensive issues. I feel, they're a team that, what's his name? Grant Williams, like he's a decent defender, he's an okay 3-point shooter. He shoots about 40% from 3, which is pretty good. 37% for his career on 1.5 about on like 3 attempts per game, almost 4 attempts per game. So Grant Williams can not only play defense, but he shoots a 3 well. He shoots free throws very well. And Grant Williams is only 24. So I like the addition of Grant Williams. Olivier Maxine Prosper is a guy that I think plays defense fairly well. He's a guy that I think is actually going to get more minutes than people think this upcoming season. Seth Curry, we know what he can do from 3. Jaden Hardy is a guy that's going to come into his own at some point. Josh Green's a guy that he's, shooting 40% from 3 last year on 9 points a game. He's shooting 72% from the free throw line, but he's a guy who shot 53% from the field and 40% from 3. Josh Green is very good. Derek Lively is a guy that I'm very interested to see how he's going to play, because we did see a bit of a jump shot at the combine, with team workouts and stuff. So I'm very curious to see how he plays. But all the things that they really needed, they at least made an effort to address. Whereas a lot of other teams I feel like didn't. Like Chicago is a team that's the biggest move they made was bring back Kobe White and Nikola Vucevic. You know what I'm saying? And there's not a lot of teams that did drastic improvement. Oklahoma City, it's they brought in Davis Bertans. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they have Cason Wallace. Chet Holmgren is coming in. But it's nice to see that Dallas is at least addressing their issues. It's hey, we need some 3-point shooting. Grant Williams can play defense and shoot 3s. Derek Lively is a guy who showed us he can shoot a 3, but we needed a center. We got Derek Lively. We traded for Rashawn Holmes. Seth Curry can shoot 3s very well. We brought in Seth Curry. Josh Green shooting 40% from 3. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are the offense, basically. So this is a team that it's I think they're going to be a playoff team. I know that sounds a bit of a stretch, being how crazy the West is right now competitive wise, but Dallas could be a 6 seed, I think, in the West. They're a solid of enough team where they could do that. Obviously the Pelicans are a team that I think people are sleeping on. They could be the number 1 seed if Zion Williamson is healthy and actually plays. But it's nice to see Dallas finally addressing their needs, because for a long time I was how long are you going to have Luka Doncic and not make any effort to improve what's around him or put something around him that can be competitive? And this finally feels like a competitive team. Derek Jones Jr., not exactly a great 3-point shooter, but Derek Jones Jr. can play above the rim. And he's a guy that's on the fast break. He's going to catch lobs for you. So I think I actually like the addition of Derek Jones Jr. A lot. Derek Jones Jr., just real quick, looking at his stats, not the greatest 3-point shooter in the world, but he's a dude that shoots 50% from the field, about 70% from the free throw line, 30% from 3, leaves a lot to be desired, but, he's a guy that it's on the fast break, you're gonna get a lob. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that he can finish on the fast break. He's good. So I like the addition of him. I think he adds a lot of bench depth, which is something Dallas desperately needs. So, you know what, man? I'm perfectly fine with this. I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to be more competitive than people think. I think a lot of their young guys are going to play a really big role in whether or not this team goes to the playoffs or not. Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, even the guys that they drafted in the draft. Derek Lively is going to be a big piece of that. Olivier, if I'm saying this correctly, Olivier Maxine Prosper, okay, is a guy that I'm curious to see what he can do. 6'8", 230 is a nice frame. I'm curious to see how he develops, because he could be a guy that if he can develop quickly, could be a really nice piece for Dallas. So yeah, man, I got to be honest. I like all the moves Dallas is making, and I feel like they've made a significant effort compared to other teams to make their team better. The Pacers made a significant stride. The Knicks didn't. But when we look at the West, even if we look at the teams in the West, the Lakers made a significant effort to move forward. Phoenix, it's like, yeah, you got Bradley Beal. Portland's losing Damian Lillard. Sacramento's pretty much remained the same. San Antonio has Wemby. Utah hasn't done much to improve. Houston hasn't done much to improve. Like, a lot of these teams really haven't done much outside of draft rookies to improve their team. Denver hasn't done much. They actually lost Bruce Brown Jr. Memphis is not going to have Ja Morant. So like Minnesota's pretty much remain the same. Like, it's like New Orleans is really gonna depend on if Zion plays. Oklahoma City's gonna be a playoff team this year. That's kind of my hot take. Golden State has Chris Paul now. They got rid of Jordan Poole. I don't know how beneficial that's gonna be to Golden State, but in my opinion, Golden State got worse. I mean, Jordan, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand why they traded Jordan Poole, but you traded a guy who was like in his early 20s for a guy that's on the brink of retirement. You know what I'm saying? So, the Clippers are still pretty much the same team. So like I look at this roster and I think like, yeah, Dallas is going to be a playoff team compared to a lot of other teams in the West. So tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.